our conference preview series rolls on with a league that once again feels like it will live up to its wide open reputation. It's time to talk ASUN. After a split regular season title last year, a handful of teams are ready to make a claim to be the one and only king of the conference. The captain of this ship, Mike Holland, joins me to see who has a chance to do just that. Recording live from somewhere. This is One and Done.
Get out the insurance cards, get out the co-pays. The office is open, my friends. Brought to you by drroto.com.
It's time once again for everybody to come aboard that One and Done train. Welcome to One and Done. Bienvenidos a todos a One and Done, your fast break of college basketball información. We're powered by the galaxy's greatest website. And if you didn't know, now you know. That's drroto.com. I am your sometimes humble host. My name is Jay Heinrich, and if you also didn't know this, you're also going to know this, my friends. I'm the conductor of the aforementioned One and Done train. Follow me on X at Dr. William Cannon, but do yourself a favor and follow this man first. He is the captain of the One and Done ship, El Capitan, as a matter of fact, around these parts, at MC Holland 34 on X. The OG Money Mike, Mr. Mike Holland. Mike, it's ASUN night tonight on One and Done. How you feeling about it?
Hey man, I feel great. We're trying something a little bit different this year. We're doing all 31 conferences, including our friends over at the Ivy, which we'll be hitting hopefully here in a couple of weeks. Because last I checked, I think we're under 90 days to the start of the season. So we're rounding out July. We're about to hit August. If you guys did not, and gals, did not check out our first conference preview show, that was on the America East. Go back and watch that. We talk a lot of Vermont. Which we always have to in that conference. But this one's going to be a little different. It's a lot more spread out in this conference. So I'm pretty excited, and I'm glad we're going to be bringing you 2 to 3 of these every week from here on out.
Absolutely. We're happy that you're here watching a little bit of ASUN talk on your favorite YouTube show that has an ampersand in the title, of course, One and Done. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, show us some love. And hop in there like our friend Mason did. Mason jumped into live chat way early, had those notification bells turned on, knew we were going live, and hopped in there way early. Mason, good to see you in there.
Mason?
One of the OGs of the chat, our friend Darren, who always likes to interact with us on the socials, hopping in there as well. He's ready to get into some ASUN talk and reminding us that he will not play Jaden Epps in DFS this season. Congratulations, Darren, for getting that one in. And then our friend Riley hopping in there as well.
What's up, Riley?
A staple of the live chats as we've gone along the last month of the off season, and we're happy to see everybody in there. Why don't you join them? If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Join 1,550 of your closest friends right here, hanging out with us on One and Done. One and Done CBB is where you can find us on all the socials. Follow us on X. If you're watching us on X, we appreciate you. Get over to YouTube and hit that subscribe button. Follow at The Real Napier, the Hall of Famer himself, CC Hustle, pushing the buttons tonight. Easy for me to say. Our guy Nate behind the scenes. And then at Fantasy Nav in those Twitter streets, Eric the Blue with the best fantasy information possible. You can find this side of the Mississippi. Eric the Blue at Fantasy Nav, our guy getting the graphics ready for you, doing all the behind the scenes stuff as well. All righty, here we go. Little ASUN chatter. Mike, let's get into it. 12 teams in this conference. According to Ken Palm's metrics last year, 24th out of 31 conferences. So, not the, worst, but definitely not a top 20 team here. A top 20 conference, I should say. Lipscomb and North Alabama shared the regular season crown at 14-4. I mentioned that in the open. Lipscomb would win the ASUN tourney to earn themselves a 14 seed in the big dance. And then Iowa State beat the brakes off of them in the opening round. So That was that. And like we said earlier as well, Mike, this is a wide open conference year after year. Nobody knows what's going to happen. A lot of turnover, a lot of this, a lot of that. Coaches leaving, players leaving, whatever it might be. But it's a wide open conference. Again, there's rarely a dominant team really that you can just point at, Mike, and say, that's the team. Again, I know it for sure. That's going to be the one. And some new challengers emerge each season. It's not, again, was ranked 24th out of 31. Not we would necessarily say a premier type of a league, but this is one where if you want to see some upsets, this is a league for you. If you want to see some fresh faces, playing together, figuring it all out. This is a league for you. Mike, anything else before we dive into these tiers?
Yeah, I mean, a couple of things. I like what you mentioned there. Fresh faces every single year. I mean, we just talked about the America East. We talk about Vermont every single year. We do the conference preview. It's just completely different in the ASUN. More of a crapshoot, but one of the things that makes this this conference really fun is they play fast, and a lot of teams shoot a high volume of threes. So you love that style. And I think that goes to kind of what we're saying about a new program every year, right? That variance in 3-point shooting can often shift momentum, right, from game to game and really year to year. So ASUN has seen a lot of turnover, over the last decade. It seems like there's teams coming and going. I mean, since 2015, we've had 8 programs exit, 10 programs are added. Next year, we see more movement. Eastern Kentucky is set to join the UAC next summer. It's a whole thing going on with ASUN. They're going to keep all sports outside of football in the ASUN. Everything else seems to be breaking off. But that's another show that people can handle that business on. But I think the most interesting thing when you kind of look at this conference is they have interesting conference tournament dynamics, all games. So quarterfinals, semifinals, the championship game, they're played on home courts of the highest seeded team. So that means if you're the number 1 seed, you have the potential to host every round, including the title game, if you keep winning. And if the top seed is upset, the hosting rights are then transferred to the next highest seed remaining. So seeding, jockeying for that position, huge in this conference. And last thing before we get started, man, only one player. And this is kind of what you find from like those we talk about the 31 conferences, right? Well, when you kind of get to the 20 to 31 conferences, it's hard to find all conference players that are returning. This conference only has one player returning from all 3 teams, conference teams. So yeah, we'll talk about that player in just a little bit, Jay.
Absolutely. Always appreciate the insight, Mike, the overlook, if you will, as we start to break down this conference into our low, mid, and high tiers, as you see right there, past Mike over there on the side of your screen on your viewing device. There it is. Yeah, right there. Low, mid, and high tiers. We're going to break it all down. Each team, give you a little bit of info on each one of these teams and sort of what we think. If we do, maybe they can make some noise. Maybe this might not be the year for that. Talk about tiers. We talk about tiers of some of these teams, some of these fan bases that they're gonna have. And there's a few of these teams, Mike, that we feel pretty confident will be at the bottom of this conference. So now that everybody, of course, has pushed the like and subscribe button, let's get to those tiers, Mike. Let's start with the low tier. And it's going to start with the old West Georgia Wolves. Yes, the West Georgia Wolves. If that doesn't really ring a bell to you, it's because last season was their first year in Division I basketball. And in their debut, they grabbed 4 wins. Okay, 4 wins there, returning half the roster as well. Sort of a rarity in this day and age, even to return half of a roster, Mike. And the Wolves are doing just that. Senior forward Shelton Williams-Dryden was one of those guys that sort of, let me dip my toes into the waters of the port. Oh, let me pull it right back out again. Yep. So that leadership will be there. The production, 17.5 points, 7.5 boards last year for the Wolves. So Williams-Dryden will be looking to reprise that role as well. And Coach Michael Moore is really building from the ground up here. Again, a year in D1 for the second, or a team, I should say, in D1 for the second year. Is 6 or 7 conference wins realistic? I think so, but it's a work in progress, right? You can't play in the postseason anyway until 2028 because
that's
of that
your favorite rule.
Year. My favorite rule is offensive goaltending, which is the stupidest. Yeah. But also the fact that if you're playing D1, you can't even play in the postseason for a while. But that's where West Georgia is, and they got some time to learn, a little bit of some growing pains that they're going through. But Coach Michael Moore is looking to boost up that program a little bit as they play in the ASUN. Mike, a few more teams there in the low tier. What are your thoughts on them?
Yeah, so we have the Central Arkansas Bears that were 4-14 last year in conference. They do return, and from a couple of years ago, Cameron Hunter, their star guard from a few years ago, he went to Wisconsin, didn't play very much, and now he's back at Central Arkansas, and I'm expecting him to have a huge year. He averaged 17, 5, and 4 2 years ago for the Bears. beyond him, wing Cole McCormick, he's there, 8 points per game. The roster's mostly freshmen and D2 JUCO transfers outside of those two. Defensively, it doesn't look good. Torvik's projected them among the nation's 10 worst defenses. So that's not great. I don't think they're going to have enough to be a quality contender nightly. So down here in the low tier, North Florida Ospreys 8-10 last year. Look, beginning of the year, we were like, oh man, this is going to be a mid-major to watch. They beat Georgia Tech, they beat South Carolina in the non-con, and then they just kind of fell flat in league play. Coach Matt Driscoll did a great job. He's now an assistant for K-State, and the assistant for North Florida, Bobby Keenan, is now elevated to the interim tag, the old interim tag that we love. This roster was completely gutted by the portal. Guard Cameron Oro, he's still back, so that's good for them. Obviously, a building block there, 7 points per game, but he's really the only key returner. JUCO wing Alex Fargo, he averaged 27 points per game in the JUCO ranks. He's definitely a name to watch, but this definitely looks like a rebuild. And the last team that we have down here, the Stetson Hatters, awesome mascot. This conference has awesome mascots. They were a 6-win conference team last year. Only one senior returning, so this is going to be a really, really young squad. They lost the bulk of their production to graduation. Another team that Torvik is projecting to be among the nation's worst defenses, so that's not great. I think the offense can be pretty good here, especially if guards Jake Johnson and Calvin Sermons, they kind of transition well from the NAIA ranks, but it's hard to project that, and also hard to expect a big win improvement here for the Stetson Hatters.
Well, and I mean, when you look at Vargo, he's 27 points a game. Like, that's a bucket getter. If you can score the basketball, you can score the basketball at any level. I'm not saying he's going to come in and average 27 a game for North Florida, but that plays scorers score no matter where they are. So how much of that will be productive? How much of Vargo's shot will carry over as that game is elevated, or the level of opponents, the level of game is elevated from JUCO to D1 now. We'll see. And I gotta side with Darren here, man. Google AI saying there aren't any wolves in West Georgia because too many. That was, to me, that was the thing when we started talking about them last year. Like, the West Georgia Wolves? Like, but either way, I don't know, man. Either way, Darren bringing the heat in the live chat like he always does, and we definitely appreciate him for that. We got some more gems in the chat from Darren, but we're going to get to those as we get to those teams, and a couple of them are in the mid-tier. Before we get to the mid-tier, make sure you hit those like and subscribe buttons. If you haven't already, we just went through West Georgia, Central Arkansas, North Florida, and Stetson in the low tier. Let's call it the foundation, right, Mike? I like to stay positive. Well, at least when we're on this show, I like to try to stay positive. I'm not, but that's the foundation of this conference right there. Up to 1,551 subs. Now, appreciate somebody hit that button. We appreciate you for doing that. Hop in that live chat. Let us know if it was you. We'd love to hear from you. As we now move on to the mid-tier, ladies and gents, the mid-tier of the ASUN. Why not start with Bellarmine? 2-16 in the conference. Well, so why do we think that all of a sudden we're going to make this big leap? Well, sometimes when a coach finally figures out that it's time to go, and you get a little bit of a rejuvenation, a little bit of young blood in there. And in this case, it just happens to be like actual blood. Scott Davenport retiring and Doug Davenport taking over. So the good thing here for Coach Davenport, the younger Coach Davenport, is that most of the key players are returning again, including Jack Harasinski, who averaged 15.5 points for them last season and 39% from three, so well above the Heinrich line there. Guards Kenyon Gooden and Tyler Doyle bringing some experience back as well, which is hard to come by in the game these days. But when we talk about an X factor here, a player that can take a team from 2-16 to a respectable 500 or better even in this conference, Brian Waddell coming down, the old Big Dipper coming down from Purdue here, that's the size and just winning pedigree that is what's going to be able to, as long as the health is there, going to be able to push the Knights up a tier this year. At worst, push them up a tier. And then, Mike, let me hit Jacksonville as well, the old Dolphins, Coach Jordan Mincy. And not all losses are created equal, right? When you look at guys and the holes that they leave, their absence will leave on a team. The hole that Robert McRae will leave for Jacksonville is like, it's really going to be tough to fill it in. I was trying to come up with some genius, idea there to throw out there into the world to impress our guy Darren in the live chat. It's just a big hole to fill. Those are big shoes to fill there. But yeah, I mean, portal work, Chris Lockett coming in from Boise State, Jalen Jones coming in from Oakland. Okay, at least looks like they're trying to take another step forward and fill in some of that production. Chris Arias and Kendall Munson hanging around as well, returning for the Dolphins. It's a competitive team, Mike.
Yeah, I don't mind it. I think Darren's jumping in here talking about Kurt Hopp. Not sure. I don't know if we had an active roster, but I thought he transferred out. So we'll have to double check on that, man. It's always tough when you're doing these in late July to make sure that you have all the rosters right. Some of these teams haven't even posted rosters. About 80% of teams have, but tough loss for Jacksonville with Robert McRae. There's a ton of talent there for Bellarmine, so I do like that call for them to come up a tier. We got 3 other teams here, man. The Queens Royals. First of all, like I said, the mascots here are just amazing. 11 wins in conference last year. The great news for Coach Grant Leonard is he gets his stud guard back, Chris Ashby, 12.7 points per game. First team all ASUN, so that one returning member is back. And then also Nasir Mann was granted an additional year of eligibility, so those additional years adding up to some talent and experience for Queens. And then you also have a returning point guard here in Bryce Cash, 4.7 points, but 4 assists per game. They also have some rim protection on this squad too. So this team really does have all the tools to kind of replicate the same success that they had last year. The Austin P Governors, 8 wins last year. Coach Corey Gibson, he does lose his really good guard here, LJ Thomas, 14 points per game, but he does return 4 major contributors from that 8-win team. Anton Brookshire averaged 8.5 points, and Hansel Emmanuel kind of led the way here, while Rashad Marshall is coming in from Arkansas State. He's a really solid transfer here, 5 points per game, 5 rebounds per game. He adds size and upside, balanced on both ends here for Austin P. So I like what they have. And then Lipscomb, going to take a step back here. Coach Lenny Acuff left for Sanford after doing a great job, obviously 14-4, getting to the NCAA tournament. Had done really well there. And now assistant Kevin Carroll is stepping in. And there's a reset button with this roster because you lost Jacob Ognosevich, who is headed over to Washington. Dylan Faulkner's out the door. Will Pruitt's gone. Guys that we talked about last year a lot, even before the season, because we thought that team was going to be really good, and they ended up being very good. But they do have some returners. Grant Assman, Charlie Williams are going to be there in the front court for them. But I think you got to look at these DT transfers. Mateo Esmeraldo, Ethan Duncan, they're probably going to be a big part of the backcourt here. So going to have to see what they're able to provide. I think they will provide a solid floor for them. So a step back likely here. Not going to have a 12-plus win season, I don't think. But definitely think they avoid the bottom tier here, Jay.
Good stuff there, Mike. Riley jumping in and saying Hayden Wood from Jacksonville, a sleeper freshman of the year candidate. Love those little nuggets that Riley always brings to the chat. Appreciate you, man, for hopping in there and dropping that. Be like Riley and Darren, hop in the live chat. Show us some love. We would love to hear from you. Mason, that got in early in the day, just when we saw that we posted the link up. Always good to see everybody. Join them. Hop in there. Like and subscribe. Do your thing. Do your part in the green screens. Oh, see. It used to be the green screens media universe. Now it's the one and done universe. It's been a while since I've done that one, Mike.
Yeah, man.
It's been a while.
What happens when we take a little bit of 10 days off?
I know, right? I did wear the green screens media shirt out the other day, so that might have been why it was on my mind. So either way, hit all those like and subscribe buttons if you haven't already, and be like Darren, be like Riley, hop in there and hop in here. All right, so why don't we just move on right along here to the old high so high, please don't blow my high. We're going to the high tier, Mike, and it's going to start with North Alabama and those Lions. Despite losing Jakari Lane to A&M, Texas A&M that is, 17 points out the door. Other top scorers out the door as well. It's Tony Pujols, and you know what he pulls. He pulls basketball players, and he has rebuilt well this off season. Forwards Cornelius Williams and Dante Backus are returning. And here's where that, whether or not they do make this, or hold, I guess 14-4 is pretty dang good last year. But when you're looking at JUCO guys that are going to look to bring a little bit of firepower, some more JUCO guys, I should say, in this conference, Kadar Bodie and Dondrian Washington, two guys right there to look at when it comes to North Alabama. Probably, what did you say? One of the more balanced teams, Mike, in the conference,
probably,
and that's probably why we have them so high, right? It's just like, again. Here's the deal, though, with the Lions, and if you know Coach Pujol, you know that his teams just, what they do, Mike? They take care of the ball.
Got to.
Period. Year in, year out. If you're playing for Coach Pujol, you're taking care of the ball. So last 3 years, top 50 nationally in turnover percentage, Mike. They do not turn the ball over, and you get shots up instead of giving the ball to the other team, that's usually going to lead to more points. So Lions,
does that work?
I hear that's a winning strategy, indeed. A couple more teams, though, there in the top tier, Mike, that we feel like can reach up and grab that old brass ring, as they say.
Yeah, and I mean, it's kind of silly, right? This high tier kind of remains the same, right? We saw some shuffling kind of between the low and the foundation tier and the mid tier there. But, we have North Alabama here, 14 wins last year, share of the crown there with Lipscomb, which obviously saw the coaching change and their roster completely gutted. But we got Eastern Kentucky and Florida Gulf Coast, 12 wins and 13 wins respectively in the conference. And for Eastern Kentucky, look, Coach A.W. Hamilton, he's just built a consistent winner, 3 straight 12-win ASUN seasons. So just a remarkable job. But losing George Kimball, that's definitely going to hurt. He averaged 18 points per game for them last year. But they went out and reloaded in the portal. I mean, they got, if this name sounds familiar, it's because we saw him hit that game-winning shot there for Alabama State last year in the play-in game. That's Amar Knox. He comes through at the guard position, averaged 14.5 points per game. Juan Cranford was a solid player for St. Francis last year, nearly a double-digit scorer. You have a couple of bigs here, Evans Paul and Montavious Myrick, really keeping EKU strong here. So I really like the high floor of this team. And then when you add in one of these conferences, sub 25 conferences, when you add a top 150 freshman like Tyler Jackson, that is not just great for the future, obviously, if you're able to retain him, but that's the type of talent that, you can really use to win a league crown here. So definitely like Eastern Kentucky. And then FGCU, no, it's not Dunk City anymore, but that was a fun run that they had when it was Love or Dunk City, excuse me.
Phi Slamma Jamma, look what Darren's doing. What are we doing here? What are we doing, Darren? No,
but that was a fun run, man. Just throwing up alley-oops. That was crazy. But Coach Pat Chambers, he's got this program on the rise. Ramir Barno, he's a really solid point guard, 8 points per game, nearly 4 assists. Michael Duax, averaged 7 points per game. And then they're bringing a transfer from Notre Dame, J.R. Knesny, one of my favorite names to say here. He's really going to give this backcourt a boost. So you put those 3 guys together, and they have a really, really good backcourt, probably one of the best in the conference here. NAIA transfer Isaiah Malone. He's kind of a wild card in the front court, so they're going to need him to be really good if they expect to contend here in this high tier. It's going to be a young team, but they're talented. They're well coached. I definitely see them challenging for another 12+ win season.
Florida Gulf Coast, Eastern Kentucky, and North Alabama right there in the high tier. Lipscomb, Austin P. Let's go, P. Queens, Jacksonville, and Bellarmine right there in the old mid tier. And then the high tier as Cam, our guy CT Huggins, C Thuggin.
Oh, look who it is.
The OG showing up whenever he feels like. Better late than never, but never late is better. Our guy Cam, good to see you. One of the OGs in the chat saying that the high tier will be fun, and it will be indeed. Stetson, North Florida, and Central Arkansas, though, will not be in there. They're in the low tier with West Georgia and those Wolves. Man, the foundation, Mike, like you said earlier, and I like to try to put that out there, and then I like how you followed through for me there. The foundation, the low tier: West Georgia, Central Arkansas, North Florida, and Stetson. All right, Mike. I saw Mason had a question here before we got out of here. Is Queens eligible for the tournament this year? Yes, this is actually the first year that they're eligible. So shout out to Queens for being a full-fledged card-carrying member and actual tournament possible qualifier. Way to go, Queens. So yes, good question though. We got the smartest viewers in college basketball.
Seriously.
Asking the best questions.
Riley, Mason,
yeah, we know what we got going on here, and our listeners, our viewers, our watchers, our fellow hoop heads. We appreciate it. The breadheads during the regular season, right? When we're doing all of our DFS shows. So if you're a DFS guy or gal, make sure you hit those like and subscribe buttons like it says right there on your viewing device. We appreciate everybody that hangs out with us always. We appreciate the MC Holland 34 Invitational will be here once the season starts.
Under 100 days.
DraftKings. 90, isn't it? Something like that.
Yeah, like 88 or something, I think. Yeah. Crazy.
What a time to be alive. And all the way leading up to the start of the regular season, we're going to be breaking down every single conference along the way, all 31 of them. Right now, if you're just watching with us live, this was our second conference that we previewed, the ASUN. We did the America East about a week and a half ago. If you're hanging out with us live, go check that out. And guess what's on the agenda, Mike? The Big Sky, where you can just see for miles and miles.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to talk Big Sky the next time out. So make sure you push those like and subscribe buttons and that notification bell like we know our friend Mason did because he was hopping on that live chat early in the day, and we appreciate that. We appreciate everybody for hanging out with us, whether you hop in at the very end of the show, at the very start of the show, 2 hours early. We appreciate that. Darren is our friend, and we appreciate him for everything, whether it's crazy or not. We appreciate you in the live chat. We appreciate you on the socials. Make sure you follow us on the socials at One and Done CBB. That's where you need to find us on X. Make sure you follow our guy, Eric the Blue, at Fantasy Nav. The Hall of Famer pushing the buttons tonight, CC Hustle, our guy Nape, at The Real Napier. Most importantly, this guy right there, at MC Holland 34 on X, El Capitan around these parts, the captain of the One and Done ship. We appreciate Mike. We appreciate everything that he brings to One and Done. And we appreciate you all for hanging out with us, whether you're live or later. If you're watching later, get in the comment section. Let us know who your team is. Let us know what you think about the ASUN. And, we'll see you next time. Push all those buttons. Tell somebody that you love them. Take care of yourself. And One and Done forever, baby. My name is JAYHEINRICH. Come again. We'll see you.
Thanks for stopping by the office. Get your fantasy prescription by subscribing to the channel and checking out drroto.com. And until the next visit, be well and take care.